practically speaking, if you have a, which you do, you have a client that is saying, okay, well, I have a new product, and we see this every day. I have a new store that I just launched. I have a new product, and now I'm ready to start doing marketing. Let's just say, I know we do marketing on Amazon and other stuff, but let's just say that we're going to do marketing on Facebook. What is your, or what would be the recommendation for this client as far as how much to spend, for how long the commitment, or how do you explain to clients, what their commitment should be or what the spend should be for a new campaign?
It depends. I mean, it depends on so many things. Is Facebook the only marketing they're doing? Do they have other marketing channels? Do they have, what are their expectations? Is their goal to grow massively and they don't care about losing money in the beginning? Or are they totally bootstrapped and no, we need to be like at least break even or profitable from day one? I mean, there's a lot of different factors.
Well, you just mentioned one thing. If you are bootstrapped, meaning you're just spending as little as possible to keep...
Bootstrap doesn't mean spend as little as possible. Bootstrap just means you really need to maximize each dollar, right? So some companies have a lot of money, whether they raise money, whatever, and they say, we don't care, we'll lose money. We just want to grow quickly. We want to grow revenues, even if it means we're losing on the profit side, right? Obviously, if you're bootstrapped and you don't have a ton of money in the bank, then you say, okay, we're okay growing slower if that means we're profitable from day one, right? Or at least profitable from within a few months, right? So,
all right, let me give a more specific question. So if a client says, I've allocated $5,000 to marketing, which is a small client, or whatever they sell, I've allocated $5,000 a month to advertising spend, and they say, I don't know what's best for me. Let's say that, they can say, you guys decide what to do, if it's Google Ads or Facebook.
Depends on
or
the
something.
product.
Right.
$5,000 a month, you can do Facebook for $5,000 a month. It's just that you need to be doing a lot on the organic side too. If you're spending $5,000 a month, and you need to
organic on Facebook, or organic as far as search engine?
No, organic, like Instagram, Facebook, website content, like the whole thing, basically. Trying to maximize your non-paid spend, because you either have time or money, basically.
Right.
So if you don't have money, you better be spending your time trying to maximize other channels, and then also, if you have $5,000 a month, you better be maximizing the hell out of your email marketing, potentially SMS marketing, all the other things that are based on the retention, or they're getting repeat customers, things like that, because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And especially if you're on a limited budget, that's what's going to do best. But yeah, $5,000 a month is enough where you can test to see, like, if you have a new product and a new brand, where you can get an idea of, is this going to work? Is this going to get traction? Now, $5,000 a month isn't going to turn you into $1 million brand, but
no, exactly.
It's going to get you.
But
it's going to be enough to where you can say, is there potentially demand for this product and this brand?
Like for me, for a small client, I'm not talking the major advertisers and major campaigns and all that stuff, but the small client that we deal with a lot, that the company that, or individual that started like a store, or Shopify or whatever, and then they want to start advertising and selling their products, and they say, okay, I can put together maybe $5,000 a month or something. I actually tell them, let's try, like you said, depending on what they're selling. Let's say that they sell something that is a good product to sell or to promote on Facebook and Instagram, basically social media versus search engines. So I don't want to split the campaign. Like they say, oh, well, maybe we can put 2,000 into Google and 2,000 is like, okay, you're basically spreading the whole thing.
No, we would not do that.
Exactly. It's like, it's better to put more effort into, if your product is a product that is more suitable or suited to be promoted via social media, then let's put all the money there. Let's run a proper campaign for a long term. Maybe it's at least 69 days that we can do some good testing with that money.
And
there,
like I said,
versus splitting the budget and saying, oh, we're going to put $2,000 on AdWords.
When you have limited budget, you need to make sure, because the last thing you want is to spend a bunch of money on Facebook, but then your website's shit.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
and it's not converting.
Right.
Or maybe you have a good website, but you're not maximizing on your email marketing. You're not maximizing, like, all those things that you have much more control over that are much cheaper. You should maximize, right? So anything that is like, because the thing with Facebook is, yeah, it can be a money pit. Now it can be a good money pit, as in it's basically multiplying, right? If you're getting if every dollar you put into Facebook, you get 3 or 4, that's awesome. But in the beginning, it takes time to build up, and it's going to take time, especially when you have a new brand and a new product with no traction. So you have no idea, because the problem is too, when you have a new brand and product, you don't always even know who the customer is. Like, you can you try to guess who the customer is, but a lot of times, I mean, I run ads all the time. It's like, I'm like shocked who the customer for a certain product is, right? I mean, it'll be a product where it's like male focused, but then half the customers are women buying it maybe for a man or something, and you wouldn't necessarily expect that. Things like that. So you don't always know who the customer is.
Right.
And so the problem is when you have that limited budget in the beginning, it's like, basically, it's like you need 100,000 pieces of data, and you're starting from zero, and you need to build up all that data, and you have none of it. And so you're spending money to gather that data. But what you can maximize is your website, your email marketing, your customer service, all the other little things that make a big difference. And then when you do those things, and obviously the product itself, the brand itself needs to be high quality. When you maximize all those things, first of all, hopefully you'll get more organic sales, word of mouth, people sharing you. And then if you do more organic content, that will help too. And that's free. That's your time, but that's free. This is what you have to do if you're on a limited budget. I mean, if you're on a limited budget, you have to do everything you can to maximize the things that don't cost you money, or at least are very cheap. Email marketing is pretty cheap for what it is.
Yeah, cost per unit on email marketing is the most cost effective. Right. Obviously, it pretty much costs the same money. Whether
you can set up a Klaviyo account for free, set up your email marketing, and then they only charge you based on the emails you have. So when you start out, it's very cheap, and then it only gets more expensive the more customers.
And it's the same cost whether you send it to 500 or 5,000 or whatever.
Well, so it increases, but it's. But when you have 5,000 customers in your database, that's obviously, it's good, because that means you have 5,000 customers.
Right. Basically. No, but I'm saying that, like, for example, with Constant Contact, you pay by the number of people in your database, but you don't pay per email sent.
No. Yeah.
So you can send 10 emails a month to your 50,000 people in your database, and you don't pay any more than you send one email. So at the end of the day, at the end of the month.
Right, but I'm saying comparatively, I forget Klaviyo's pricing, but it's like,
yeah. You pay by the size of the database.
You pay like $100 a month or whatever for a few thousand people, whereas on Facebook you need to spend at least like a few grand a month, right? So it's just much cheaper.
Yeah, email marketing is the most cost effective. Is the form of, I mean, obviously that's a whole conversation about email marketing, because you cannot just basically just send it to everybody. You need to segment your list and everything.
So the message is basically, if you have limited budget, you gotta hustle, because you can't. It's like if I'm like trying to start a car company, and I'm competing with these car companies who have $100 million ad budgets, and I don't have that. But then I try to compete with them with commercials.
Right.
That's not the way to do it. Like the way Tesla was able to compete with Mercedes when Tesla doesn't spend a dime on ads isn't by making fucking commercials. They did other things. And so you have to do other things, right? If you can't expect to compete with the brand that's spending $1 million a month on Facebook ads when your budget is $5,000 a month. It's never going to happen.
No, it's not a competitive. It's not.
So you have to hustle and find your own thing.
But this is one thing that I think smaller companies are working with agencies that are more on top of their advertising versus the major agencies that is more of a setup, because they have such a huge budget. They say, okay, we're going to put this campaign with this much money, basically all over the place, 24/7, let it run, and it's going to spend $1 million a month, like you said. And there's tons of those, whether you go to YouTube, Google Ads, Facebook or whatever. But at the same time, those campaigns are wasting a lot of money. Now, with the bigger advertisers, they think that's part of the expenses,
Yeah, but at the same time, when you have budgets that big, it's
Right.
It's hard. You can't. It's more about just basically building the brand,
Right.
than it is like direct conversions.
Exactly.
When you have budget that
Exactly.
big.
You have more branding versus selling on top of the funnel
Right.
versus
When you're
impressions and so forth.
spending $1 million a month,
Exactly.
and you can afford that.
And that's my point.
You're
Like
just
with-
building the brand. When you're spending $5,000, you're like, no. I need sales from this $5,000.
Right.